Hey guys, this is your host Thomas Tyree here from On the Hot Podcast. Today, this would be the Combat Series episode number 93 for you guys today. And to kick off this week's episode, I'll be sharing a tribute to one of the greatest heavyweight fighters of all time, that being George Foreman. So unfortunately, the world of boxing learned that George Foreman unfortunately passed away at 76 years of age on Friday. George Foreman is known for being one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. And in this segment, I'll be sharing a small tribute to one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, that being George Foreman. So George Foreman is known for being one of the greatest heavyweight boxers of all time. George Foreman helped establish what true heavyweight boxing was all about, competing in several decades. And George Foreman helped put heavyweight boxing on the map. George Foreman was a wrecking ball on the boxing ring. 76 victories, 68 victories come away of knockout. One of the hardest punchers, one of the hardest hitters in boxing history, and one of the greatest knockout artists in boxing history. And that helped him become a former undisputed heavyweight champion, remembered as one of the greatest of all time. And he had some big marquee victories under his belt, knocking out Joe Frazier twice. Who could ever forget the first time that he fought Joe Frazier? He knocked down Joe Frazier 4 to 6 times in a matter of 2 rounds before knocking out Joe Frazier in the second round in the 70s. He also defeated Ron Lyle, Ken Norton, and had one of the greatest comebacks in sports history, becoming a world champion and nearly taking a decade off at the age of 45 years of age. So George Foreman has always stood the test of time and always wanted to fight the best of the best. George Foreman was never scared of the smoke. Who could ever forget the Rumble in the Jungle, his fight with Muhammad Ali? He also fought Evander Holyfield, Chuck Wepner. George Foreman, man, was something else. And you got to say he is one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. I'm saying top 5, one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. I'm putting him top 5. But also, George Foreman helped the sport of boxing grow. Like I just said, in the early days, everybody always paid attention to the heavyweight scene because you had so many all-time greats like Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier. George Foreman was in the mix with them as well, becoming undisputed heavyweight champion, 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, competed in 4 different decades. Do you know how special of a fighter you have to be to compete in 4 different decades? And he's a former Olympic gold medalist, like I just said, 2-time heavyweight champion, was a part of one of the greatest eras, if not the greatest era in heavyweight boxing. So George Foreman, his legacy will never be forgotten. And who could ever forget also what George Foreman did outside the ring? You had to be cool as hell to have a George Foreman grill. And the George Foreman grills were so that air fryers today could fly. So not only did he leave his mark in boxing, but in terms of how you like your food prepared, he established a George Foreman grill, which was pretty fly, to let air fryers fly today. But I mean, George Foreman's legacy can never be forgotten. And his words, legends never die. And I think George Foreman's legacy will always stand the test of time. And in heaven right now, I do believe that we are seeing that up in heaven, the angels are being gifted, because there's probably another Rumble in the Jungle going on with him and Muhammad Ali dancing up there, having one hell of a boxing fight right now. But George Foreman, his legacy will never be forgotten. And I got to say that even though he's gone, George Foreman's impact on the sport of boxing will never be forgotten. So rest in peace to one of the greatest of all time, George Foreman, who unfortunately passed away at 76 years of age on Friday.